What is going on, guys? Dark Gaming here, and welcome to a bit of a discovery that I found and I decided to record because I think this will help us calculate things once more. So, we'll be talking about IPS damage in this video, and we'll be really quickly... Oh, this is on the wrong build. We'll be quickly talking over IPS damage and basic calculations, really. So, this is the builds for the 3 weapons that I'll be using currently. There'll be more in the test. This is my updated jacket tag build. Shatter and Impact is in there for the Grenier. In the case that you're not going up against Grenier, I added Organ Shatter. So Corpus Infested, this is the build. Grenier, this is the build. And for the exceptions to the rule on both Corpus and Infested, for units that do have armor, I suggest you don't go after said units with a melee weapon. So, let's go ahead and begin here. So first of all, let me spawn in our little test subjects, which are going to be Sentients, which will help us greatly in the calculation of IPS damage. Also, before we begin, I want to point out that at the end of this video, I'll actually say a little bit about what was going on and what will probably be happening. So, if you're interested, stay tuned. If you're not, well, I can't really tell you to stay. So, these are our test subjects, and we'll be using Euphona here, which from the build you could see that it does more corrosive damage than all of the other damage types, and the reason that that matters is because your Sentients here have health gates, and health gates will resist the element they took the most damage from. So, in practical terms, that is weird. Okay, Mr. Battlist here is for whatever reason adapted to IPS as well, but only matter to the Conculist. I have no idea what he's doing. So, Conculist is the one that matters, so only care about the Conculist, not the Battlist. I'm gonna go ahead and redo this part because that's just kind of... it doesn't really prove my point here. So, oh right, that's gonna explode, isn't it? Damn it. That does matter because it does damage the Sentients and it will change the result. Oops, I added a new batch instead. So let me just kill him off, wait for the explosion, and then we'll spawn him in. There we go. This is gonna be a long video, by the way. It really is gonna take a while. So, now that we got proper results, as you can see, both our Sentients here actually adapted to corrosive damage, which again, according to the build, is the highest damage type that we are dealing. So that does go by the rule of health gates. And as a side note, your operator's Void Beam can actually remove the damage adaptation from Sentients. This also works with Shadow Stalker, so there's a little tip for you. So, again, it's going to be the same result, no matter how many times we do it, it's going to always be corrosive first. However, this kinda happened before. I think maybe I spawned him in too early and he, the previous battlist got caught in the blast of the little explosion. The orbs, basically, those little hearts they have there, they explode if they are not picked up. So, as you can see here, we have IPS up there, which it doesn't make sense. Obviously, our jacket tag deals mostly impact damage, so that should not be the case, because impact damage is not Impact Puncture and Slash. So something's up here. And what is up is the theory that I have, that Impact, Puncture, and Slash, aka IPS, is actually calculated as a singular element by the game engine. And to prove this point, we'll be using a assortment of builds that I basically put together just for the point of actually proving this. Oh, right. So, Tigris, slash damage, mostly the main damage type is Slash from IPS. Euphona Prime, the main damage type from IPS is Impact, and later on the weapon we'll be using is actually the Hirudo over here, which its main damage type is Puncture. So, with that being said, let's quickly swap over to the Mios again and showcase proof number 1. Oops. Build. There we go. There's a build. So, from the damage that we can clearly see at the bottom there, you can tell that my Mios should first be proccing Toxin, because Toxin is the highest damage type that I'll be dealing. AKA, the health gate should adapt to toxin damage first. However, if you add just Puncture and Slash alone, you get 207.2 damage. I'm just keeping Impact out of there for the time being, so we get the calculations easier. But you should add Impact in there if you want the whole theory, but just by that alone, we get the fact that our IPS damage will be higher than our toxin damage. So, if IPS is considered a singular element, that means that it will be the one we see adapted to instead of toxin, and it is indeed the case. You can clearly see here on both of our sentients, IPS is the first element that they were adapted to instead of toxin damage, because IPS is a single element in the game engine, and that means that toxin is treated as, well, you deal less toxin damage than you do IPS in TLDR nodes. So, after we kill those guys, let's jump up here and swap over to our Hirudo. That way we can prove the other point in that proof number 2. If this was a visual bug, then only the IPS that was mainly dealt with will actually be the one adapted to. What I mean by that is, if we hit, shoot them right here with a Tigris Prime, just get them to adapt to the shots from a Tigris Prime. If this is a visual bug, this means that these sentients have only adapted to slash damage and not puncture and impact. However, as we can clearly see, 33, 33, and 33, basically 33 damage per shot on our Euphona here, and 10 damage. It's actually, oops, I forgot, I have shatter and impact on these things, so the damage is going to vary. So we'll only take into account the first number that we saw pop up, which is 10, and yeah, we'll go based on that. Yeah, that's gonna affect it. Okay, hold on. Actually, well, for this proof it doesn't matter, because we already showcased the if you didn't know, those actually deal those orbs that explode do 1 of IPS damage, because they will actually adapt to IPS damage no matter what. But yeah, as you can clearly see here, the impact-based Euphona Prime, it deals more damage. There it is. I keep missing for whatever reason. 33 damage per shot. It does 656 damage per shot without resistances. So that proves to us the fact that this is not actually a visual bug. And we'll go here again, and well, those numbers were all over the place, but basically they were all higher than 10. So as we can clearly see from that, our damage type does not actually affect the result, and by damage type I mean from IPS. So if we have impact, if we have slash, if we have puncture, it doesn't matter, because the game engine considers IPS to be a singular element. That means that all of your weapons will be affected. And now the final and proof number 4. This Vapor Sidon over here, which I forgot to showcase the build for. This is not the build. We'll be, yeah, that's actually the build. This is the build that we'll be using, and as you can clearly see, we're not dealing enough viral damage for it to be the first, so we're still abiding by the rule that IPS is higher. However, we're only doing impact and puncture damage, which means this will define whether or not it just decides to adapt to all three of them at once and not just the damage that you deal. No matter what, right here, we'll only do impact and puncture damage. There is no way for us to do slash, and I'm not actually going to equip it, so the stance does not matter. So, let me just smack these here a little bit, and as you can see right here, the damage that they adapted to is I.P.S., which proves our point very clearly, that IPS is a singular element by the game engine. Thus, it's not actually separated into its subcategories of impact, puncture, and slash. IPS is actually a single element and not three. So yeah, that's the point that we had to prove here, and we proved it using various weapons all at once. The reason I used my jacket tag at first, by the way, was because this was the weapon I discovered it with by doing random testing. And then I used the Mios to test whether or not it was actually indeed a singular element, because my Mios has more toxin damage than it does the slash damage, impact, and puncture separately, but not when they are combined. And Vacor Sidon, it only deals 2 of the 3 damage types, so it should, in theory, only allow the health gate to adapt to 2 of the damage types instead of all 3. And with that, we conclude that IPS is indeed a singular element for the game engine. And IPS is divided into its subcategories of impact, puncture, and slash. However, I am under the suspicion that this is new. This has not been in the game forever. I believe that this was later added to kind of allow the game to negate our friend here, Excalibro, of which I'm going to really quickly swap to my Galatine. This is not part of the testing per se. I'm just trying to showcase the reason as to why this could have been added in here, which is for the game to be capable of resisting Exalted Blade.
Try something different.
So yeah, I'm pretty certain that is the reason why it was added into the game. So do with it what you will, but I believe that is the reason that this has been implemented, because I don't recall this being a thing, and I figure I'd point it out. But anyway, guys, that is all we had for this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like. If you didn't, please do give it a dislike. And if you enjoyed it that much that you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. It's the best way for you to keep up with the videos that I'll be uploading. So, now we'll be moving on to the little bit of an update portion, and that's why I did the outro first, in case some of you didn't want to stick around. If you are sticking around, thank you very much. So, let's talk a little bit about what happened, because I have not uploaded in 2 weeks, and it's probably going to be a schedule that will be maintained, unfortunately. The reason behind it is that school has started, and it was at full throttle ever since the beginning, which means there was no wind up to welcome kids. We'll be casually beginning our lessons, and then along the route we'll actually do them like we mean it. Nope, it was a very rough show off. Will be basically, hello kids, welcome to school, these are your classes, these are your lessons, this is your homework, go home and do it. That was it. There was no wind up in no homework for the first day, no homework for the second day, you know, that sort of thing. It was basically right off the bat we started, and yeah, it basically reduced my time from what I thought was gonna be 12 hours of my day to more or less about 16. And if you do the math real quick, 16 hours of my day plus the 8 that I will need to sleep for, that's 24 hours already, which means I barely will have any time for me to play games, let alone record and upload any videos. So if I'm going to be uploading, that basically means that I'm stealing away time from my homework, and that's not good, because that's going to come back and bite me at the end, and I don't want that. And in order for that not to happen, I unfortunately will have to not follow my upload schedule, which was going to be Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. It will instead be only Sunday, and that's every 2 weeks. I know that is barely anything, but at the same time, I don't want to just completely let go of the channel for the following 9 months that I'll be at school, because that's just not good enough. And you know, if I do that, well, what's the point of even having the channel up? So I'm going to try to have at least one video every 2 weeks uploaded. I'm not promising anything, however, because things can happen, and even though school has started at full throttle and we are currently just going straight through, we don't have tests yet, and tests means more time for homework. So yeah, it basically, TLDR is school's really gonna pick up a lot of my time, and I won't have any time to play games, let alone record and upload videos. So I'm going to try and at least upload a video every 2 weeks at Sunday, but I will not promise anything because things can change, and that means that I will probably not catch one day or two. So I hope that you'll forgive me. I will still try, however, to actually upload things, and I don't have ideas for short videos, if you are wondering, because that's gonna take like so long. Like, the only short videos that I do is basically clips that I have as a spare in case that I need to add them to a certain video that showcase bugs or anything of the sort, like the bug I showcased with both Broberon and Ash Prime, that heavy weapons for whatever reason are carried in one hand alongside your secondary weapon at points in time after you do a finisher. No idea why that was happening. Also, my Ivara bug was one of those. So that's basically the short videos, the ideas I have for short videos, which means those are definitely not going to be a thing, because those are really rare to happen, and I still need to play games in order to do that to begin with. And as I previously said, I have no time to play, let alone record and upload. So I hope you understand, and I hope that I'll be capable of actually sustaining the program that I currently have for me, because there's no way I'm going to be capable of sustaining the previous program. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and I guess I'll see you next time. I guess in 2 weeks for you. I have no idea when I'll be recording the next video though. Hopefully within 2 weeks though. Anyway, I'll see you next time.